Hi everyone, welcome to this video. So as you all guys know, I'm making this video after a really long time because I was busy in my job change and I didn't get much time to participate as well. This morning I had some free time, so I decided to give it a try and I didn't perform well. Like there were 8 questions, all of them seemed easy, but I was only able to solve 4 of them. I'm here to share my opinion on or approaches, as I can say, on these questions. So let's get right jump into it. So this question says, yeah. So let me explain it. So this question is about you're given a string. Let me open my. Okay, so we are given a string A, B, C, A, B, C. So it says that either in one operation you can remove A and B, exactly one A and exactly one B, or you can remove exactly one B and exactly one C. So we need to just say in yes or no whether using these two operations can we remove completely, get rid of the string, like make it an empty string. So in this case it's possible that okay, in this one approach I can just remove uh, AB, right? So now I have left over with this CA, BC. Now in another one I can, as it says, I can remove AB again. So you can see after this operation I still have some letters left, and so it's not possible to empty it. So my answer will be no here. Similarly, given the test cases, we can walk through some of them. Like let's say this one is very straightforward, AB. I mean, I can remove this and this, like this in one operation and then this in the next operation. So yeah, so for this the answer would be yes. The only catch here is, as you can see, in both the operations you can remove B, so B can club with either A and C. So it makes sense that given a string we just count number of letters A. So count of A plus count of C should be equal to count of B. Like if it's not equal, let's say we have AC but we have 3 B's, it won't work. So having more B's is not helping us. Having more A, and let's say it's like this, so the total is, it's not helpful because only with B we can remove either A and C, so B has to be equal to A and C. So this is the equation. It's pretty easy, like you just iterate over the string, count the number of letters for A and C and then check if it's equal, then answer is yes, else no. Hope this question was clear. And then I did solve this one. This one is easy because of the constraint, but let's run over the question before that. So let me create new. Okay, so the question says that I basically am given a array 1 3 2 8 5, and I'm only allowed how many operation, it does not exist, yeah, okay. So I'm only allowed, so let's say the length of this array is 1 2 3 4 5 5. So I'm only allowed 5 operations. And what are the operations? So the operations could be, you can provide left index, right index, and a value k. So let's say I provide, in this case, L is 2, R is 4, and D is 2. So this is the array, right? From 2 to 4. So what it means is that we can rotate this array towards the left side. So what it could be, so after we rotate this to left side, our answer by 2, our answer will be 1 8 3 2 5. So our array will look like this, and this is one operation. So we need to find, so we don't need to find the minimum operations, we just need to print that at each operation what you are gonna do, and we should not exceed more than n operations. And you can clearly see it's pretty easy that it will never exceed more than n. Why? Because let's say this array is like this, so obviously 1 is at its place. Okay, now we know that in the left the in these four leftover elements, 2 is should be the next element. So what I can do, simply I can just take the range from I plus 1 till n, and find where is the next smallest element that I need to find, that is 2. So I just do my left should be blindly, I just do left as I plus 1, r as n, and my k, I would select k would be how far this 2 is from is rightful position, right? So 2 is one position away from its rightful position, so k is 1. So now after this my array would be, if I rotate this by 1, my left array would look like this, right? So now we see that 2 is at its position. Now let's come to the next I. So this is now the next I, right? So our L stays I plus 1, right? Which is, so I, because array is based 0 index and we have to give based 1, so here I is 2 but we need to give 3. That's how it's expecting in the output. So L becomes 3 here, and n obviously is the end of the array, which is 5. And here the k would be changing, like I would just check, okay, the next smallest element should be 3. What is the k value? So it's 2 places away from it, so I just change the k value. I keep the L I plus 1 and r n in the outer for loop, and I just change the k value. So now my array becomes 1 2 3, 2 places, right? So it will be 5. Okay, so it will be 8 5, yeah, something like this, because 8 will come here and then 5, yeah. So this is now array. So now in next case also, again I plus 1, right, is that, and the rightful value for 5 should be here. So we again change the k value to 1, right? Now the question arises, let's say I have an array saying 1 2 3, right? Now in this case all the elements are sorted, so while we can have a check that if the current value, the current I has its rightful value, then just skip the operation, so don't print anything, right? And then we are fine. So we print this for each array. So and because the n size is very small, 50, I basically had an outer for loop for these each I, and then an inner for loop just to figure out where is the next smallest element, and what's its, how much far it's away from the rightful I, and that's it. So yeah, it was pretty easy. I had few wrong test cases because um, I was actually not correctly handling this case. So for this case I just added a check, just skip it, and I was fine. So yeah, this is how it was resolved. I didn't get time to think about this question. I understood the question, what is asking for, but couldn't come up with anything. The next question I was able to solve was D. As you can see also I did struggle a bit, but yeah, it's kind of easy if you see. So what does the question say is, let me remove this. So the question says that you are given, there is a party going on and you are given the people who are gonna who are invited in that party, and you are also provided with a sociability value, which means that okay, this person can go and talk to this many people. So let's say if I have 3 people, 1 2 3, so it means that this person has value 1, means that he or she can only go and talk to the other person, and once that is done the value is decreased, and if once it gets 0, that person leaves the party. So we need to find the maximum number of combinations, or you can say maximum number of pairs of people talking to each other, right? So what we can do here is we can see that let's say this third person, he or she goes and talks to these two people. So one would be 3-1, one would be 3-2, but because one is also talking to 3, one score becomes 0. So the count becomes like, it becomes 0, it becomes, now this becomes 1, this becomes 2, oh sorry, this becomes 1, sorry, because this person is going and talking to both. 2 is talking to 3 once and 1 is talking to 3 once. Now this person is gone, now the leftover is 1 and 1. So what we can do here is, they can talk again. It says that two people can talk several as many times as they want. So then this 3 and 2 can talk again. So the maximum count here is 3, the connections or pairs, I can say. Now one thing to note here is, I basically had a different idea in mind. What I did was, initially I actually took a priority queue and I placed 1 2 3 in that priority queue. So what I was doing, I was actually taking the first two less values which were next to each other. Then I was checking the minimum of them. I used to make them talk to each other and then cancel this out, because that person can talk to this person once. So now the new count would be 1 and 3, and then they would talk to this. So but this answer, the answer that I get by this value is 2 only, because I'm getting 1 and 2, and the next time I'm getting 2 and 3, and then 2 becomes 0, 1 has already become 0, so only 3 is left, and 3 cannot talk to anyone. So the answer was coming as 2. So one catch that I saw was, it is guaranteed that sum of n overall test cases doesn't exceed 2 to the power 10, and it is also guaranteed that sum of a of I doesn't exceed. That means what I did was, I just added them to the priority queue. So I basically did it in the max heap format. So it's like 3 2 1. I was targeting that the highest person should try to talk to as many people as possible. So then I used to take top two people from the priority queue, and I used to make them talk to each other. So the answer would be 3 2 1s, and then I used to subtract 1 from them and insert both of them again in the priority queue if their count is not 0. So now my priority queue looks like this becomes 2, this becomes 1, this becomes 1. Now I again fetch them. The answer would be 3 2, because this is the count of the third person, this is count of the second person, this is count of a one person. Now again now this becomes 0, this becomes 0, oh sorry, this becomes 1. So now my priority queue looks like this, because the second person is 0. So now they can talk to each other. It's 3 comma 1, and I got the answer 3. So I was doing this using priority queue, and I was able to solve this one by one, instead of taking minimum of these two and just making this okay that these two people are talking to each other twice. No, that is not how it greedily it will take. If you subtract one, there will be a chance that after subtracting one, someone else will have more value in the priority queue. So this gave me the right answer. So that was my approach for this question. Now even you can see that many people were able to solve, because actually it was pretty straightforward, as pretty data structure approach. So the approach was here. Okay, so the question said that oops yeah, so the question says that you are given an numbers in a particular format. So let's say permutation is 3 1 2 4. So 3 1 2 4, you can assume this as a stream of numbers given to you. So a stream of numbers is coming. So 3 comes first, then 1 comes first, and then 2 comes first, and 4 comes first. So what your task is, as the numbers come in, you can either add that number to your list in the at the beginning of the list or at the end of the list, and you have to be optimal in making that list lexicographically smallest. So lexicographically smallest would be like, let's say one permutation of this would be 3 1 4 2, and the other one is, if let's say 3 1 2 4. So this is lexicographically smaller than this, because let's say this and this is same, this is same, but here 2 is less than 4. So we should actually pick this. So this is lexicographically smaller. Now when we are given this as the input stream, As I said, initially we have an empty list, right? And we need to make this list lexicographically smallest. So let's say 3 comes in. Because the list is empty, we don't do anything. So 3 is inserted as it is in the list. Now 1 comes in. Now as soon as 1 comes in, as I said that we can either insert it at the beginning or at the end. It makes sense to insert it in the beginning because it will give me lexicographically smaller, because 3 1 and 1 3, which is lexicographically smaller, this one, right? So I would insert it in the beginning, so it becomes 1 3 2. Yeah, 1 3. Now 2 comes in, so again I have a choice of either inserting it in the beginning or at the end. So again, so 1 3 2 or 2 3 1, 2 1 3, these are our two options, which is lexicographically smaller, this one. So then we add it at the end, and again similarly for 4 we have to add it to the end. So the approach that I took here was, I took a data structure called DQ. It's available in the C++ library. So in DQ you can either insert in the front or in the back. So every time a new element used to come, I used to check whether the front value of the DQ is greater than the current value, incoming value. If it is, then we insert it in the beginning. Else, it makes sense to just insert it at the end. And it was a pretty straight approach. So yeah, this is how I was able to solve this question. I actually didn't get time to attempt other questions, but I will give a try today later in the night. If I get any idea around that, I'll share my approach in the video. Hope you guys like this video. Stay tuned for more videos. I'm hoping to make more videos, and recently I started taking part in data science competitions as well, so I'm thinking of sharing my approach there as well, so that I can also learn from you guys, because I'm not an expert, as I said. Cool. Thanks a lot, guys. See ya.